And then, but then they'll have like an intro song to go with it, right? But I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think we'll just start like this. I mean, we're live, so
Oh, we're live.
yeah, why not,
You
man?
didn't
Like,
warn me.
I know it's okay. Hey, everybody, welcome to episode one, the first episode of the My Guys Magic podcast. Um, Pete and I have been talking every morning since he started working at a game store. I usually have some free time in the morning, and I was like, we might as well just get together and try to talk about, you know, a magic, just set up a magic podcast. Like, why not? We're spending this time talking. Let's, try to make it more formal. And we actually both happen to have Tuesdays off, most Tuesdays, and so we're going to try to set something up and see how this goes. So I think the format of our podcast is going to be a more concise one, where we're just trying to give you like a brief overview of the news in Magic, kind of upcoming events. What's the metagame challenge data look like from Magic Online? And just kind of talk about things in the realm of Magic that are most relevant to everyone. So a little bit about myself. I started playing Magic. I think I first learned in 1999, Mercadian Masks
Damn.
or something like that, or Urzblock or something. Was like trying to, I don't know, play Pokemon, and somebody showed me that game. And I was like, what is this? This is super cool. And then one day I was walking home from school, and there was a game store on the way home from my elementary school that was shutting down. And they were throwing out like these giant 5,000 count boxes of like mostly Ice Age. And so I literally just picked them up and like carried them home. I was a little kid, so I'm just like carrying these huge boxes home. And like some of my neighbor kids saw me as I'm walking down the street. And they're like, "Where'd you get that?" And they ran back and got it. I think one of my friend's dads actually like grabbed his car and went and picked up what he could, and that kind of started it. And I didn't really start playing like FNMs or competitively until like 2001. We would just kind of screw around, like playing with cards. I thought like Plated Spider was the best Magic card ever when I was a kid. So 5 mana 4/4 with reach, a green and four is
Busted.
terrible.
Busted.
Yeah. So I think I just liked the artwork, but yeah, it was definitely. And then Magic kind of became an escape. It was like, and then obviously the community has been amazing. But and then at the end of high school, two things happened. I think I was just trying to become an adult, and get away from that. And then there was also like a huge rotation, and I was a broke, teenager. So like all of these cards that I'd invested in with like 7th edition and all of Odyssey block and Onslaught block, like a lot of that stuff was rotating, and I was just like, dude, I'm not going to be able to afford to buy a bunch of new standard stuff. So, and then I didn't play for 10 years. I honestly thought I would never play again. I actually sold my collection in 2011 when I got pretty serious with my then girlfriend, now wife. Um, and then 2015, I was about to deploy to Iraq. We had just had our first child, and I finished my master's, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go play Magic. One of my old buddies from Toledo had queued for the PT for a second time, and that kind of like inspired me to just go play again, and it was great. And then obviously I didn't play for the year I was deployed. Really, like kind of like read some stuff online when I had free time. But then when I came back, I started playing with the release of Eldritch Moon, and you know, pretty much have played ever since. Obviously, I didn't really play very much during COVID because I wasn't much of an online player. Like I played a little bit of Moto here and there. I've played, some arena. Actually, I top eighted a modern challenge like 2 or 3 years ago with Elementals.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like Elementals with Ragavan, but it's been a long time since I've really played on Moto for sure. So I've been fortunate enough to qualify for 2 Pro Tours, Pro Tour Lord of the Rings, which was fantastic because I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and then queued for Pro Tour Murders at Kalov Manor, also both through the RC, getting like top. I think I finished 20th at RC Dallas back in 23, and then I finished like 20. ninth or something like that in RC Atlanta, both Pioneer events. I played mono green and blue white control. So
Pioneer.
yeah. Enough about me, Pete. I've been blabbling, dude. How did
Yeah,
you get into this game?
I'm not into this game. But my name's Pete Williams. A little bit about me. I started. My little brother talked me into coming to a draft during Scars and Mirrodin draft. I was kind of a late bloomer. Probably should have started earlier. I might be better than I am now, but I'm not. So here we are. Um, but yeah, so my first draft was Scars and Mirrodin. I drafted Skithrix and fell in love with the game right there, and I was just in and just played casually for a long time. I draft every week. Was into standard because it was just standard at that time. Modern didn't exist yet, right? Start modern was formed shortly after that. So it was during Call Blade. I was playing sort of Feast and Famine, pulling
Nice.
open a pack and pulling a sword. I was like
Yeah,
a
dude.
kid in a candy store.
Yeah, hitting the lotto ticket.
Yeah, so I played casually, just F and M stuff, and uh, over the years, I've sold out 2 times
Yeah, jeez.
and bought back in every time because even the years where I wasn't playing, I was still listening to podcasts and keeping up with tournament results and all of that, even when I wasn't playing. And this game is very addicting, and I love it. Didn't really start getting seriously into it until the RCQ system started, and as soon as the RCQ system started, just started grinding and, qualified for most of the RCs, and that's about as far as I've gotten so far. I'm trying following Joe's footsteps here.
Oh
And
no, you don't follow me, man. Don't follow my
and
footsteps.
we'll see. Looking forward to RC Vegas, but I just love this game. I love playing this game. I love talking about this game. And like Joe said, we talk every day about Magic. I figured might as well record it. See what happens.
Yeah, Pete had like a 30-minute ride to work. And I was like, dude, we're just like talking about Magic for 30 minutes or like at least 15 minutes. Like if I'm not busy in the morning when he calls me on the way to work, it's like we might as well just meet on our day off and just try to set something up. And so here we are.
I think it's just Joe's way of not talking to me every day about it. He wants to get it all done in one day so he can not answer my call.
That's not true. That's not true. I love talking to you. It is, some days I have work going on or something in the morning, but do you want to tell them how we came up with the name, My Guys?
Oh yeah, the name My Guys. Um, we just call each other My Guy all the time. I call everybody My Guys, even you know,
Plural specifically,
plural.
too.
It has to be plural. Like, when I'm talking to one person, I say, "Hey, my guys." So you're all my guys now, and this is my guy Joe.
Yeah, man. So I think it's just kind of like it's like a friendly um, greeting, So I think that's a suitable name for a podcast, right? For a community especially that is so welcoming, right? And I think the people that make up the Magic community kind of speaks to how welcoming it is. And I mean, we all tilt off at tournaments sometimes. We've all had crappy days at tournaments. I mean, I've seen tears of anguish and tears of joy when people have like made the cut into a top 8 or like made the cut to qualify
Absolutely.
for a PT, and or when they've just missed it. So I think that kind of reflects the emotion that people have for the game, and just like the dinners. It's almost like the dinners are what is the thing you look forward to, or just like BS and in between rounds.
Yeah, through the RCQ and RC process, I've made friends all over the country, and I look
Yeah.
forward to going to these RCs to see these people because that's where I see them, and then we all hang out, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and so hopefully, we'll be able to invite some of those folks on as we get the show rolling. Some of them are pretty distinguished, if not in their competitive performance, certainly in their personality at the events around the country. So I think a lot of people maybe they don't know who they are, but they've certainly heard or seen them
Or read
around.
about them.
Yeah, maybe read about them. Um, so yeah, so the format again for our podcast is I think that every week the plan is to have like a news segment where we talk about upcoming events and and then we'll talk basically upcoming events for like the next month or two, and then we'll talk about challenge data for relevant formats, which right now is only modern and standard. Obviously, Pioneer has become like a fully fledged redheaded stepchild, and I
Yeah,
think it's part of it is Wizards is really trying to push standard, and so something had to go. I think that people really love modern, and so standard has been, kind of taking the spots that Pioneer once did. Um, and then in that news segment, I think occasionally we'll talk about special topics like, there's been stories about this person who had cheated and is still, kind of continuing to compete, and, you know, low turnouts at like Spider-Man drafts, and, the pick two format. And there's all kinds of, controversial and non-controversial topics, whether it's bans or whatever, that I think we'll occasionally bring up. But for now, we're just going to talk about upcoming events and challenge data. And then we'll also have a focus segment, which I think will be the bulk of our conversation. And that's going to be, talking most often about constructed.
absolutely.
Yeah, constructed. What's the relevant constructed format? How we feel about it? Kind of any takes that we might have on a particular deck, and where we stand with our view of the format. Um, so without ado, we'll go ahead and get into our news segment with upcoming events. So a crazy busy month. There's like 6 events in the next month between now and the beginning of
6 big events.
6 major events. Yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna cover like spotlight series events, major gameplay events. So the first one is Eternal Weekend in Pittsburgh, October 9th through the 12th. So be sure to dust off your legacy and vintage decks. I'm sure there'll be a decent turnout there. Then we have the regional championship in Houston. That format is modern. That's October 17th through the 19th. Obviously, plenty of side events there. After that, there is the SCG Con Baltimore, a Spotlight Series, and in that format is going to be standard. I know Vivi Cauldron's kind of overshadowed standard for a while, but it looks like there's been some shakeup with red, so we're going to talk a little bit about that later. And so SCG Baltimore is October 24th through the 26th. And then all on the same weekend, 3 events. Last weekend in October, right after Halloween, so October 31st through the 3rd, there's 3 major events, kind of all over the country and world. In no particular order, Laughing Dragon is having an event in Tacoma, and there'll be a Command Fest, and then there's also a 20K modern event on Saturday and a 5K modern event on Sunday, and then there's a number of other um, game events that'll be going on as well. There's the NRG in Elmhurst, Illinois, just outside Chicago. The first day of competition of that is going to be team modern or team the team event, which is modern, standard, and sealed, and then the Sunday event is a modern event also. And I actually plan to attend that, and I think I'm sitting in the standard seat.
Standard seat.
Yeah, me and Matt and Bradley.
What are you gonna play, Cauldron?
Bradley Schleichinger, former Dallas 2023 RC champion, got a lot to live up to. He's going to be playing the sealed seat, so. And then Matt will be taking up modern. So yeah, I got to figure out if I'm going to play modern or red. I'm kind of a notoriously addicted to blue white control, unfortunately.
Yeah, you'll probably play blue white control even if I give you VV.
Yeah, so I just need to get some reps, and I've played a little bit of red and Vivi Cauldron, but it'll certainly be one of those 3 decks unless I don't know, I'm drawn to some other crazy. I've been known to be attracted to stupid shiny objects like bad magic decks just because they look cool, but I've gotten better about
Ugentown?
yeah, playing this really bad blue white control deck with Ugin and the town lands from Final Fantasy and Beyond the Outer World. Yeah, it was not good. It was not good. It was fun though. Casting Ugin was fun.
Yeah, you made the finals of the RCQ with it.
Yeah, well, how many people were at that? Like 20?
20.
22? Yeah, I guess that's not terrible. Yeah, and then you smoked me in 2 easy games playing Vivi Cauldron. And then the last of those 3 events on that last weekend in October is a Spotlight series in Liverpool, England, which is a Spotlight series Spider-Man. And the format is also going to be standard. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how standard shakes out. I don't think there will be a ton of movement between now and then, but it's hard to say what can happen in the next few weeks.
I think it'll look pretty much the
Pretty
same
pretty
until
similar.
the ban announcement on the 10th. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens then.
yeah, and then there'll be probably nothing until Worlds, right? Where we'll see a big, you know, we'll see how the format kind of solidifies with Worlds. So, all right, so that is our upcoming events portion. So, I kind of did some number crunching um, regarding the last week of standard and modern challenges. So we'll talk about standard first. So there were 213 players across 5 challenges this last week. And so those 5 challenges were won by Mono Red, 2 Demir mid decks, and 2 Vivi Cauldron decks. And then we also kind of compiled the top 8 data. So the top 8 percentage from those 5 challenges, 38% of of those 5 top 8s were comprised of mono red decks. So mono red is a huge chunk of the metagame right now. In second, 25% of the top 8 was Demir, and 20% of the top 8 was Cauldron. So I think that people have been trying to shy away from Cauldron. But I think the fact that it was only a fifth of the top 8, but yet it still won 2 of the 5 challenges, kind of shows that it's still a very powerful deck. And then there was a couple Jeskai control in top 8, a couple Orzhov Pixie, blue white control, and then there was a Vivi aggro deck that didn't play any Soul Cauldron. And then there was one kind of spicy brew in the top 8 of those 5 challenges, and it was this Kona Yuna deck, just trying to cheat into play some of the giant Final Fantasy summons and yeah.
Yeah.
What are those? What are those? The Bahamut and then Knights of the Round, just trying
The
to like
summon,
cheat those in.
summon.
Yeah, playing like Dredger's Insights to throw stuff into the graveyard and hopefully bring back like a Overlord of the Mistmoors or one of those huge.
Also,
summons.
at least one of those mono red decks was a mono red leyline deck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't dig that deep in. I bet that was. So was that one of the red decks that won, or was that just one of the ones that made top 8?
I believe it's just in the top 8.
Okay.
Slick Shot, Leyline Resonance, and some Pump Spells, Turn Inside Out.
Okay, yeah. I bet that player misses Monstrous Rage, but
yeah, and Cacophony Scamp and Hardfire Hero.
So then for modern from the last week, so there were 863 players, so almost a little more than 4 times as many players across 7 challenges and 1 showcase. So obviously the showcase had over 300 players, but still significantly more modern challenges and participation. So of those 8 events, 3 of the 8 were won by Boros Energy. 2 of the 8 were won by Blue White Energy, which is this new like Azorius Energy take on the format. 1 Espergorios, 1 Titan, and 1 Zoo. So those were the 8 winners. And then obviously Modern is a much more diverse format than Standard, so there was a lot more decks in top 8. But kind of leading the charge with the most decks represented in top 8 across those 8 events was Titan. So there were 7 Titan decks in the top 8 of those 8 events, so 11%. And then the next 4 most popular decks being represented in top 8 were Boros Energy at about 9%, Esper Blink, Blue White Energy, and Zoo each having about 8% of the top 8 meta. And then you got your Affinity, Aspergorios, Tron, Blue White Control, Is It Prowess, and then a number of other decks. So some things that I want to note: there were 3 decks in top 8 across those 8 events that were playing Jeskai Ascendancy. And so I just find that, and I don't know if it was the same person. I didn't look that closely, but I think that that is just kind of a really interesting thing because it was this deck. I mean, we just had the PT. Nobody had heard of that, and so you have what I would consider to be probably a highly underrepresented deck,
Yeah,
and
well,
it's got 3 of 64 slots in the top 8 of these tournaments. So um, I mean, it's representing 5% of the meta share in the top 8 of these events, and it has to be a 1% deck, right? Like, there's no way there's that many in the kind of spread out across the metagame. Neoform had some good representation. Belcher only had 1 deck represented, and I think that people have been really hating on Belcher. I mean, I was talking to Mike at the store yesterday, and he's like, yeah, I was playing Belcher online, and it was great for like a day, and then like 2 days after the PT, it was like completely hated out.
everybody's ready for it.
Yeah, everybody had tech for it or some sort of concise sideboard plan. So
But yeah, after the PT, I would expect people to do that, considering
yeah,
the guy went 11-1 in modern.
yeah, and then Brute Scale
And
combo, Phoenix Dredge, Samwise, the a Living End deck, and the Rack were kind of some of the interesting one-offs at the bottom. There was also this Black Eldrazi aggro deck. It was playing Graveyard Trespasser and
yeah, had a Eldrazi Temple, Kozilek's Command, and Thought Not
Thought.
Seer.
Yeah, and then
Like
yeah, and then like Fatal Push, Thoughtseize.
Inquisition.
Yeah, so interesting, interesting results there.
But the Jeskai Ascendancy deck, it pretty much has the same, almost the same shell as the Breach deck that was banned. You know, Tamio, Emery, Mox Amber, Mox Opal. You
Yeah,
get those starts. It's just a great shell to start any deck with.
that's true. And then you can kind of you get a Jeskai Ascendancy into play. You can kind of really start going nuts.
And with Repeal and one of the Mox.
Yeah. And then I mean Corey Steelcutter is just a good card, right? Like
And the fact that Corey Steele gives the trample, you just make a huge, huge monk.
yeah. So any interesting sideboard cards? Not really. Pretty standard looking sideboard. A couple spicy flage in the board. Is it the same person? Do you know? I was trying to look at that.
Nope, not the
No,
same
different
person.
folks. So yeah, I wonder if there's like a team out there who's been brewing that. But all right, so I think that concludes our news segment. So now we're gonna talk a little bit more about modern, right? The RC's coming up.
Yep.
The focus is, I think there's a lot of people out there trying hard to get on the PT, and so the pathway to that is the RC. So um, I don't think either of us are going to Houston, unfortunately, right?
Unfortunately, not.
Yeah. So
We're going to Vegas.
yeah, I mean, life it's kind of can only get to one, but yeah, Vegas should be good. It'll give us a little bit more time to prepare.
Yeah,
But
see what happens in Houston and make a deck choice.
yeah, so I think I did a little bit of a breakdown of kind of the meta coming out of the Pro Tour, right? And there's been a lot of people who have posted a lot of information on win rates and things like that. Um, and Belcher, even though it was highly represented day one, it actually had a sub 50% win rate, even though it put 2 into top 8 and, 2 into the semis, 1 into the finals that ultimately went on to win the tournament. I think it's interesting that this last week's challenge data show that it's really fallen off. And I think maybe people are just learning how to hate it, or um, I don't know. It's hard to say, but
Yeah, the fact that 135 wins, 159 losses at the Pro Tour.
yeah. So I guess
It's a
so.
decent sample size.
I guess kind of referring back to the Pro Tour, because that's some metadata I have immediately available here, is um, Gorios represented the largest metagame share for day one at about 17%. And, the day two data, I think it closely represented that for Gorios. So about the same proportion of people getting into day two who were playing Gorios, versus day one. Um, Boros Energy, man, that what was the win rate for Boros Energy? Because I think that was one of the most. So so Gorios was 17% of day one meta. Belcher was 15% of the day one meta, second most popular deck. Then Boros Energy was the third most popular day one deck,
Yeah, so Boros
13.7% of the meta.
and Boros Energy combined day one, day two win percentage is 43.3%.
Yeah, so it's like an abysmal, kind of like by all metrics of previous win rates. Boros Energy did really terribly at this event, but somehow it's like rebounded. And I don't know if the Moto metagame is like kind of stagnated, or maybe it's um, you know what I mean? Because 3 of the 8 modern events on Moto in the last week were won by Boros Energy.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
kind of hard to kind of pick that all apart. I mean, and also it's kind of hard to pick apart how limited played a role in those decks getting to where they got. So, um, and
Right, because
then
you have to take that into account. Their
absolutely, yeah,
limited record, they could be
yeah,
playing against the
yes,
lower tables if they're
right.
doing bad and limited, and
Somebody who's
so
gone 6-0 in draft and whatever 0-4 and uh, these and constructed, right? They're in the same bracket, so yeah, you got a relevant point there. So I think it is a little bit harder to kind of pick apart
but
things.
but at the Pro Tour, of the decks that had 100 plus matches, Titan had the best win percentage.
Yeah, and that kind of reflects in Titan's conversion in from day one to day two. So um, there, so the Titan meta was 5% of day one, but in the top like 50 deck list, so basically the top sixth of the tournament, 10% of the top fifth of the highest performing constructed decks were Titan. So it kind of had a decent representation of decks, and then still was able to have like a high conversion. So and then with the highest win rate, right, with a reasonable sample size, I mean, Titan is still doing its thing, right? We
Yeah,
kind of you kind
Titan
of hear
be
time
tightening.
Titan, yeah, Titan be tightening. Uh, you hear time and time again, and it's like they continue to just try these new cards. Right now, they're playing like Ice Till
Yeah,
Explorer. Um, it kind of plays into the Aftermath Analyst plan because you're like milling cards, and you can play cards from your lands from your graveyard,
yeah,
get 2 land drops.
and just doing the ghost quarter thing.
Yeah, and people have like completely gotten away from Valakut and Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which is just kind of continues to show how that deck morphs and continues to improve. Um, yeah, some interesting decks that I saw. I think there was one Yawgmoth player in the entire tournament. From what I saw, I don't know if that's true or not, but
He went 2 and 3.
oh, he went 2-3.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Okay, and this is constructed only.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he made day two, so he obviously did it on the back of limited. Um, but Brood Scale was a deck that stood out in my mind. I think there were only a handful of decks in the day one meta, and there were two um, in the top 50 highest performing constructed decks. And so, what's the win rate say?
65%.
Yeah, 65%. But it didn't have a lot of matches, right?
Well,
Like 20 matches.
we're looking at Frank Carson's data right now, and he
Yeah.
broke.
Thanks, Frank. We really appreciate you, dude. You do a fantastic job.
He broke Brood Scale down into three categories: mono green, Golgari, and then also Gruul.
And so, what did the best? Mono green.
Mono green was 65%, Golgari was 64.3%,
So yeah, so Gruul not so good though, right?
20.
Okay. Yeah. So
It looked like one Gruul player went 1-4.
okay. So I think that that is a deck that is another kind of sleeper. It has this ability, to commit to the battlefield early, but then it has, like it can do the Emrakul thing or it can do this,
Yeah,
Blood Chief kill you thing too. So I think that those are interesting decks. So I guess, if I were going to Houston to
you,
play,
you'd probably play Samwise.
no.
Samwise had a 61.5 1%.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fun, but I'm not sure, how good it really is. So how many players were there? Like two?
It looks like two.
Yeah, two. And what were their combined records? 8-5. So yeah, it's fine, right? But I think that you got to play lights out. Oh, it was maybe three. Yeah, you got to play lights out, and you got to get lucky. And I think one of the issues that Samwise have is, although the cards can come together and combo kill your opponent, their individual power level is pretty poor, right?
Right.
And so if you're not doing the combo thing and you're not really advancing toward that, I think you just don't have a good deck. It's like draft chaff with the potential to combo kill your opponent. So
yeah, and Wrath of the Skies is a card.
yeah, Wrath of the Skies is 100% a card, and I think that there's a decent amount of graveyard hate, which doesn't always affect the deck, but it certainly can, kind of get in the way. If they catch a cat without you having a food in play, um, there's just so much graveyard hate with Esper Gorios having the representation that it has. So yeah, I don't think I'd play Samwise. So I guess the approach that I would take if I were preparing for RC Houston would be, you hear it time and time again. What is a deck that you're comfortable with, right? Or maybe you have a couple decks that you're comfortable with. I would look at your Esper Gorios matchup, Belcher, Boros Energy, these kind of white base blink decks, Orzhov or Esper. And I guess there's kind of like Jeskai variants as well. And I know that there's a lot, I'm kind of lumping a lot of decks together. They're not necessarily always operating under the same circumstances for sure. But yeah, they're kind of like mid-range decks that are trying to outvalue you with these ephemerate effects and um, solitude and ephemerate plan, right? A lot of them are trying to do the
Rizzler.
The Rizzler too. The card is so good. It is so good. I really wish I would have bought some.
I'll sell you some.
But I think, again, and then Tron, Affinity, and Titan. So I would make sure you have a strong plan for those 7 decks in your sideboard plan for sure. Gorios, Belcher, Boros Energy, the Blink decks, Tron, Affinity, and Titan. And then I would not sleep on Brood Scale. I think that's a deck you should, if you have some of the cards for Brood Scale and you've got some reps with it, I would certainly be trying to test it just to see kind of how it plays out. Like, how does this deck feel, I know Blue White Control made it to the finals at the PT. Um, but if I'm not mistaken, it went 0-3 against Belcher in the finals, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
But
which
it's also done well in the challenges too, so you
Blue
still
White.
might want to have a plan for it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I know there'll be a lot of Blue White players out there for whatever reason. You know, when we sleeve up our cards, it seems like there's a higher percentage of Blue White players in the field.
Yes.
Um, I don't know, Pete. What do you think?
That's
What do you think? What
still
would you
keep an eye
play?
on still keep an eye on prowess. Maybe have a
Yeah.
plan for prowess because that deck is fast. I might play that, but what I would play if I was playing tomorrow, I would play the Esper Blink, the 61 card special that Marco Fabrizi went 9-1 at the Pro Tour with
Okay.
in modern.
So all right. So I'm putting you down for Esper Blink, Pete, and that's what you would play. What do you think would win?
The RC?
Yeah.
If I was playing that, me.
On Esper Blink. Yeah. So you think
Titan.
Titan? You think it's gonna be Titan again? Get another Titan winner?
It
It's
could.
just has the
Titans.
best data. Yeah.
Our buddy Victor's taking Titan, so we'll see.
Of course, Victor is. What else would he play? All right, Titan as the winner. So what would I play? I mean, right now, I don't know. The Blink decks are super fun. Um, I really like Affinity. I think Affinity has an aggressive game plan, and it still has, you know, you're playing Mox Opal, which is arguably one of the most broken cards in Modern right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
I was
then,
really surprised that there was no Affinity made it to the
yeah,
top 8 at the
I
Pro
felt
Tour.
terrible for Shuhei after that kind of like day one performance, and then just missing. How many winning ins did he miss to top 8? Like 3. Oh man, that had to just be really hard for him. I mean, is he a Hall of Famer? He's a Hall of Famer, so I don't know how bad should we really feel
Yeah,
for him.
he's all right.
Yeah, he's
I
pretty
think he'll be
good.
fine.
He'll be okay. But yeah, I think Affinity, you know, has a fast game plan, fast mana, and you know, solid blue interaction.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, Cap of Cannoneer Ward 4 is pretty nuts. But
yeah,
now,
especially on turn 2.
yeah, but what we're starting to see is I think, you know, there's this interaction that I've heard about with Consign where, you know, you can pitch a Solitude
Consign the
and
ward
consign
trigger.
the ward trigger and your evoke trigger. Replicate consign to, you know, hit the ward and evoke trigger, which is pretty nuts. So yeah, consign a very good magic card, right? Good against Titan, good against Affinity.
Yeah,
It's like
and that's why I'd play this deck because it
yeah,
plays 3 Consign main.
yeah. So yeah, Tron's pretty heavily represented.
What was it, 27 Consign the Memories in the top 8 at the Pro Tour?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, heavily represented card. Um, I mean, was that the most placed card in the top 8?
I
Maybe Force of Negation or something like that.
No, probably Consign.
Probably Consign. Yeah, have to look at that a little bit more closely, but
There's a reason why it's 20 something ticks on Moto.
it's 20 ticks.
Oh, do you
That's
not know?
insane,
Do you
dude.
not know how much Riddler is on Moto?
70 ticks. I'm gonna just guess.
So Consign to Memory is 23, and Quantum Riddler. I was trying to put that Esper deck together this morning to play. 139.39 tickets.
Good lord, man, that is insane. Leave it to the moto economy to show what's really going on. So yeah, you think we need to think we need to have a good plan for blue blink decks? It sounds like.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, join them.
Yeah, man. Okay, so I haven't answered the question. Um, I think Titan Affinity or Blink. If I had to pick one, I don't think I have the reps with Titan to make it happen. Yeah, I'd play Affinity. I would just play Affinity. I mean, obviously, my opinion will probably change as we continue to play test that, but I think play testing Affinity and Titan in the Blink matchup, seeing how that goes, is going to be something for us to do for sure, and others.
Yeah, we're gonna test it today.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll
There
let
you
you all
go.
know next week how that goes.
Yeah, but yeah, you got any like kind of hot topics you want to talk about? With, I mean, you're working at a game store now, and you've kind of been running one for what, like a month now?
A few months.
A few months now.
Yeah,
Jeez,
yeah.
that was fast, huh?
It was, yeah, too fast. So I manage an LGS here, down where we live.
Melbourne, Florida, by the way, Space
Melbourne,
Coast,
Space Coast,
launching
321.
satellites in space. Let's
Countdown
go.
County, let's go. So I manage a game store here, and since Spider-Man released, our F&M drafts have dropped drastically.
Yeah.
Like, I got this graphic. I'll give him a plug real quick here. Um, Jake Brown on Twitter posted this graphic of total players each day on Arena for the first 14 days of a set. And he has a graphic here with Spider Man, Edge of Eternities, Final Fantasy, and Aether Drift. And Edge of Eternities between day 2 was over 60,000 people a day. And that went down to day 14. We were still over 30,000 a day. So the peak for Spider Man on Arena, day 2 just over 20,000, and now day 13 we're under 10,000 a day. Like, people aren't feeling it. We had 6 people for our first draft. We got up to 9 for this last Friday, but we normally have 16 plus, and we're a small area, so that's pretty good. So we're half or less than half of our attendance.
So do you think it's because of Spider-Man or the pick two, both? What do you think it is? Do you think that people hate Universes Beyond?
I don't know if I want to get into
The,
that
yeah,
topic.
yeah, that's a whole
But
other thing.
I don't know how I feel
Well, how
about
do
it.
you feel about it?
How do I
Let's just
feel
talk
about
about
it?
how you feel about it.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of Universes Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Magic truther, I guess. But some of the
True.
cards are great.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a big Flame guy.
Flaheem.
Um,
Wait, which one's Flaheem? I can't get it straight between the Omen Path and
Norman
the.
Osborn.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm playing him in standard. I'm having him in a modern deck right now.
Yeah.
But because we play competitively.
Speaking
So
of
no,
people playing shiny bad cards.
yeah, that's me. J- I jam Norman Osborn into Grixis Reanimator and call it a day. But we play competitively, so no matter how I feel about these sets, I'm gonna play the cards that are good that slot into good decks. So,
Yeah.
um, but I don't know if it's. I just think it's hard to build a solid draft deck out of it. Some people were saying, because there's too many legends in a small set.
Yeah, like there. I mean, there's common legends. It's kind of
Yeah,
insane.
and the way they want us to run the drafts are pods of 4, 2 rounds. Whoever
Yeah.
gets 2 wins gets a promo, and they want you to
Yeah, I wonder why
draft
they're doing that.
fire another draft right after that, and want to keep us there till 1 in the morning.
Jeez. Sell those packs, Pete. Sell them. Yeah, I guess me personally, I talk to a lot of people, and yeah, I think they're universes beyond truthers, right? They don't like them. For me, I guess I don't know. I the idea of like trying to bring all these other universes together under the rules engine of Magic is very interesting to me. Even if I don't necessarily vibe with these other IPs, but of course, like I love Marvel, even though I'm not a big fan of Spider-Man in particular.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of interesting to be able to do that. Lord of the Rings, though, I feel like the Middle Earth realm kind of jives well with like the Magic
yeah. It's just the
like
fan.
environment. It's a very similar like epic fantasy
It's
related genre. So
right, a lot different than a hot dog cart. and bagel and schmear. But I guess I could see JC in a bagel.
Why not? Why not?
But no, there are some great art, great cards. I'll play them.
So, yeah, I guess we're just gonna wrap up here. I think we got some prep to do for the modern RCs.
Yep.
Number of events on the horizon. They released the Spotlight Series list for next year. It looks like they're kind of ticking up the amount of events that there are going to be in terms of Spotlight, so that's good to see. I mean, remember there was what, like 15 GPs in the continental United States back in the day. It was kind of maybe even more. It was like, and there was like 1,000 people like in the main event of each one or more. So
let's get up to those numbers.
Yeah, that would be sweet. All right, so you would play Esper Blink.
Yep.
And you've got Titan winning the event. I think
so.
I'm going to play Affinity. I'll just join you. I think Titan is probably the best positioned if it doesn't get hated out. What about Standard? Do we want to talk about Standard? What we play in Standard?
Oh, I would play. Is it called Vivi Cauldron?
Vivi Cauldron. Yeah, I'd just join you in that.
It just feels like you're playing a different format than everybody else. It's disgusting.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, do you want to provide any of your social media contact information for the audience?
I could. You can find me on Twitter or X.
Yeah. So as we're building this out, we're trying to get our social media information together.
You can find me at PDUB. That's PDUBB999.
Nice. I think my boy Vinny Fino will appreciate my X handle. It's at Joe_Mama_77 on X. So Joe Mama 77.
Joe Mama 77.
Two
and
underscores.
Then we'll have a Twitter for the podcast coming soon. We'll have that next week.
Yeah. We appreciate if you've listened to us thus far. This is episode 1, so we're gonna be getting things going. Hopefully you all will join us and kind of listen to what we have to say and share as things get going. But Pete and I will be here talking for sure. So
yeah, we'll be here.
Thank you very much. Hope you have a good day. Good luck testing.
All right, my guys. See y'all next week.